Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. Back here again this week to talk about all things nerd. We're going to be talking about some comic book stuff. We're going to be talking about Birds of Prey. We're going to be talking about the big PlayStation news that has dropped this week. So very exciting. And as always, I am Illeagle86, and I am joined by my two incredible co-hosts, the Nerdbomber.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
And I would be remiss if I did not also introduce Mr. Techtic.
Hello. I wanted to do that. It felt right.
Mr. Techtic, not Dr. Techtic, not Professor Techtic. Mr.
DJ Techtic.
Do you want DJ Techtic?
Well, it goes with the
DJ Techtic Esquire. You have a law degree, right?
No.
We have you in charge of the Online Warriors law department.
Not good.
Yeah, if someone tries to sue us, that will be very awkward.
So you heard it here first. Don't try to sue us, and don't touch that dial, because as I mentioned, we have a lot of great things to talk about today. Don't touch that dial is a very old-fashioned phrase. Also, no one's really touching dials anymore. They're like touching screens, or like dials. Is that supposed to be a phone? What is that?
I think that's supposed to be radio, like the radio dial.
No, guys, it's from television. When people would get up and not use the remote and rotate the knob.
I thought it was like an old radio talk show thing. I mean, didn't they used to even have on the radio, there would be like little shows where they would say stories and stuff, like Little Orphan Annie and like War of the Worlds and stuff like that. So they would go to commercial, and I'm pretty sure they would say like, don't touch that dial. It's going to heat up when we come back.
Either way, it's safe to say it doesn't apply to us, and it's a very stupid phrase.
But still don't touch that dial. Don't do it.
Yeah, I would don't touch anything. Just sit and listen. Well, don't sit. Do whatever you want. Anyways, before we get into things, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we have a giveaway going on social media. So if you just head on over to Twitter, at Online Warriors 1, you can get in on that and figure out how to win a $10 Amazon gift card. And we all love Amazon. I just bought something from Amazon yesterday. It arrived at the house today because technology is crazy.
And do it quick because you're running out of time.
Yeah, actually, the day that this episode drops, so on October 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we will be selecting the winner. So try to get it in quick because you've only got a few hours left if you're catching this right when the episode drops.
Yeah, so good morning to everyone who's listening in time. And head on over to our Twitter, in the middle of like your bowl of cereal or coffee or whatever your inclination is. And they have to just like follow us, right? That's the deal?
They have to follow and then retweet the tweet that we tweeted about the tweet.
Okay. There you go. We just gave away the secret. So head on over there, check it out. We'd be happy to have more followers. And you'll be happy that you followed us because we tweet sometimes. And sometimes we give stuff away. Yeah, I mean, you might get a gift card, and if you do, you'll have $10 to spend on a whatchamacallit or a thingamajig or whatever you please. So go check us out. We all also have individual Twitter handles. I'm at Illeagle86. We have at Techtic.
I'm super funny.
You're missing
Techtic, right?
At OW Techtic, at OW Illeagle86, and at OW Nerdbomber.
It's amazing I can remember. Well, I can't remember anything. It's amazing that there's anything in the world that I can remember because most of the stuff just goes in one side of the brain and out the other. Anyways, go check us out. Let's talk about PlayStation. So PlayStation 5, some big development news broke this week. And essentially the PlayStation 5 is going to have a feature called PlayStation Assist.
Boo.
Which, okay, so yeah, the way that we select topics for this show is we just kind of like, we drop certain news items into a chat and we kind of discuss and say like, yeah, this would be a good idea. And Techtic prefaced this thing with like, I really hate this. We should talk about it. So he's going to hate it.
So why do you hate it though? Although we should probably explain it first.
Yeah,
right?
let's explain what it is. So essentially, there's this thing called PlayStation Assist that PlayStation 5 is going to have.
Potentially.
Which essentially,
I think they haven't confirmed it, but they've like filed a patent or something for it.
Yes. So according to the patent documentation, it's going to be this tool that uses AI to provide players with real-time assistance if they hit a dead end in a game where they don't know what to do. There's apparently also you can like voice activate it. So you can like say like, I don't know what you say, like, hey, PlayStation, help me out. And if you're like in a room and there's a hidden weapon and you don't know where it is, the room will highlight like, or the PlayStation Assist will highlight like, oh, check behind this door. There's going to be a gun there. Like it'll help you out. So that's really the extent of what we know at this point. And Techtic hates it. So Techtic, take it away.
I've said this before. My number one guilty pleasure as far as video game genres go is puzzle-based games. So I've played Cube, Portal, that Magnet game that I can't remember what it's called right now. But all in all, the puzzle genre is my absolute favorite. And it's the grind of figuring out how the heck to get from point A to point B. If you could just go, yo, PlayStation, drop that hint, and then it just shows it. What's the fun? Where is the challenge? You play video games to get intellectually stimulated, in my opinion, or at least I do. And
okay,
I would lose that.
I have a few counter arguments. The first one, and to kind of agree with you, I think there are certain games for which PlayStation Assist should be a non-factor, and I think puzzle-based games, like Portal's a perfect example where like, no, there shouldn't be PlayStation Assist because the whole point of the game is to solve puzzles. However, there are other games where the whole point is not to solve puzzles and you're still stuck in some room because you can't exactly figure out what the game is telling you or what it wants you to do. And I would argue that there are situations where PlayStation Assist can be useful. And I would also argue that there are already games that have PlayStation Assist-like mechanics in it where if you are stuck in a room for a certain amount of time, the game picks up on that and says, hey, Dumbo, why don't you try this thing? So like to me, what this is trying to do is it's trying to streamline that process and also streamline the process of like, I've hit situations in games where I'm like, I don't know what to do here. So what do? I get out my phone, I go online because everything in the world is online. So like, to me, this is just cutting out the middleman, but I can get feeling a certain way about it. I think people should have the option to use it if they want. So I'm presenting a counterpoint, and for the tiebreaker, we'll turn it over to the Nerdbomber.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that aspect, I kind of like it. So there are a ton of games that I've guiltily gone to look up a walkthrough, and like, man, back in like the 90s and the 2000s, this probably dates me a little bit, but like in the PlayStation 2 era, when you couldn't just easily hop on the computer all the time because like, say, mom or dad was on the phone and you couldn't get on the internet, do you guys remember?
Buy like Nintendo Power.
You had to get like the books, magazine. A physical book. And I just remember for like Kingdom Hearts, I think I had a physical book because I was a nerd and I played Kingdom Hearts through like 3 or 4 different ways. And I had this book and it had all the hints and tips and tricks. And so now instead of looking up a book or something, you can just literally ask your console. So in that aspect, I think it's kind of neat. But on the other hand, I'm also kind of salty because I mean, I'm kind of impartial. I mean, the Xbox is my favorite console of this generation, and I know I don't have the exclusives and whatnot, and I have all of the consoles, so it doesn't super matter. But I'm a little bit salty because Xbox already tried to do this with the Kinect, and everybody hated on it. And granted, it wasn't as powerful, and it couldn't interact with the game and give you hints like that, but I think it was just a little bit early on when it was introduced, and I think if people were more on board, then it probably could have been fleshed out into something similar. But if you go back to when the Xbox One first came out and everyone had the Kinect because I think it was bundled with the Kinect at one point. And everyone was so upset because it had these voice capabilities and was always listening. So I just want to know, guys, where is the outrage for this? Where is the outrage?
Well, that was Cortana, right?
Yeah, it was.
So like, I agree that at the time the Xbox did that, we weren't ready for it, and I think like the in-game pairing is the most important thing, because otherwise you're basically just asking Siri, and like that's fine too. But like this sounds like Siri on steroids, who can like reach into your game and like literally highlight something and be like, you see this thing over here, go, check it out. Like, to me, we've been conditioned for, like, Sony is testing the waters that have been already jumped into by companies like Amazon, who, I mean, there's probably an Alexa, like I have multiple Echo Dots in my house. I have one in my car now, like, and I'm sure it's listening to me all the time. I've made peace with that. At the time that Xbox had the Kinect, I do remember people were freaking out. So like, I think we have been conditioned as a society where like, we're okay with that now. And for better or for worse, I don't know. But
yeah,
I will say also,
we're definitely, everyone has some kind of smart device for the most part at this point, whether it's your phone or, like you said, the Echo. I think we're all kind of conditioned. It was just a point that I wanted to make, that this technology could have already existed if everyone just was open to the future.
Everyone just chilled out a little bit.
Exactly. My other thing, though, that I kind of like about this, so I was recently trolling Reddit, and there was some video that someone had made, and this is my bad, I don't remember who it was, but basically the guy was exploring basically video game literacy. So because we've all been playing games for so long, there are some things that we take for granted, like, oh, this map up here, this little bubble that has dots and stuff on it, we know what that means. We know it's a map. We know what the question mark means. We know what the exclamation mark means. We know what the health bar is, all that kind of stuff. We know to use 2 sticks to look around and not just like strafe. So his wife wanted to play games, so he basically introduced her to a series of different games, both on console and PC. And there's a lot of things that are a barrier to entry because people, if you don't have experience playing games, like, you just wouldn't know it. And we kind of take that for granted. So I think this would be really interesting and maybe a good way to get people who aren't familiar with gaming involved, because like, if they're stuck now, you can just be like, hey, what does this thing mean? And your PlayStation will tell you.
Right. That's an interesting point.
And sorry, go ahead.
I have another point. You ever been so frustrated when you are trapped in said room that you start to do crazy things that ultimately end up breaking the game, so to speak, and you find either something really strange or phase through a wall or something hokey that ends up giving you a fun experience that you wouldn't have had you just found the right way to do it.
So you're saying this is like a joyful moment when you phase through a wall and you're like, oh, I cheated. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I've experienced
I love
that,
it.
yeah.
I love it when glitches occur in a game because of mass outrage.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had moments like that. I feel like most of the time when I have moments like that, I'm like, well, I guess they want me to jump across this 30-foot cliff, and I do, and I die. Like, I don't usually find a way to break the game. I find a way to break myself. But like, either way, and another thing that Nerdbomber mentioned is like, and kind of a reason that I feel like this isn't necessarily for me or for any of us who have this video game literacy that you're referring to. Like, when I have to look stuff up, there is a huge amount of guilt for me. Like, no matter what it is, even if it's something really small, I'm like, man, I feel like such a Dumbo for not figuring this out. Like, I feel like PlayStation Assist should gauge how good you are at video games, and if it decides you're pretty good, when you ask for a hint, it's like, you are stupid, but I'll tell you. You know, like, it should just totally demean you.
Whenever you go PlayStation Assist, it'll help you, but in the background, it's going, shame.
Yeah, exactly. It should. This would be cool. It'd be like a Black Mirror thing. Like, every time you have to ask for help, it'll help you, but it'll also it'll post on like all your social medias. Like, Corey just asked for help on level 1 of like, you know, Sunflower
that would be amazing.
Express. Wouldn't that'd be so funny? And like,
Sunflower Express, I love that. That should be. If someone out there is a game dev, please make Sunflower Express.
I tried to make up what sounded like a very frou and easy game, and what I came up with was Sunflower Express. So yeah, feel free to steal that. No copywriting there. But
I like to imagine you're like a little hamster on a train, and you're holding a sunflower, and you're sitting on top of the train, just holding the sunflower as it goes like down the track in the breeze, and that's like all it is. You're just a conductor.
I think you're on the train, and you're like hanging out the window, and you're like picking sunflowers as they go by, and then like you have to like get a certain amount to like get to the next level, and I'm like on my phone, or I'm telling PlayStation Assist, I'm like, PlayStation Assist, how do I get 50 sunflowers before the freaking next train station? What the hell? That's what I'm imagining. And then she's like, it's easy. Also, I just posted on all your social medias that you can't beat this game, so enjoy that. I think that would be, oh man, that would be such a great social experiment. I don't know.
You heard it here first, Sony. If you can implement that in your PlayStation Assist, please do.
Yeah, I think it would be good for all of us. Because if there's someone who's not very video game literate, like you would see that on their social media and be like, makes sense. But then like what if freaking like Ninja was like playing PlayStation, and it's like Ninja asked for help on Fortnite, he would lose all his followers. Oh man, this is a great idea. We should tweet at Ninja about this. Ninja, you ever had to look up like WikiHow on how to play Fortnite? He probably hasn't. I mean, from what I've heard, he's pretty good. But yeah, PlayStation Assist. What do you guys think of this idea? Whether you're a PlayStation boy or an Xbox boy or an Xbox girl or a PlayStation girl, whatever. It's a very interesting idea, and as Nerdbomber mentioned, it's one that maybe initially came on the Xbox side too soon. So, like, is now the right time? It'll be one question. Is it a good idea? Should we have access to things like this? Is another one. So, hit us up on those social meds, and let's talk about it. As far as other things to talk about, let's talk about comics, and let's talk about Mr. Dick Grayson. For those that don't know, that's Robin, or it used to be Robin, and now he's something else. So I'll swing it over to our comic books department, which is not me.
All right, so I don't know if either of you guys are familiar, but I want to say it was last year in a Batman comic book, the infamous Nightwing, also known as Dick Grayson, took a bullet to the head. And so that changed pretty much everything. He survived the brain injury, but he couldn't remember his past. So he didn't remember that he was Robin or Nightwing, and he ended up renaming himself as Rick Grayson, and he became a cab driver and had no memory of the fact that he was associated with Batman in any way. He abandoned his family, et cetera, et cetera.
I have so many questions. So, did he rename himself Rick Grayson because he was like, was it Dick Grayson? No, it was Rick Grayson. Like, he just didn't remember it and no one corrected him? Or was he just like, I'm taking a new name, it's Rick?
Just a new alias.
Yeah, okay. I think it was just a new alias, like he couldn't remember, so he just like picked a name out of the hat. I didn't actually read the book myself, but just from what I've heard. And it was a very controversial decision because Dick Grayson and Nightwing is one of the more beloved characters in the Batman franchise. I would say he's definitely my favorite Robin, and I like Nightwing as a sidekick. He was one of my favorite Batman sidekicks.
And he got shot in the head and he survived. I love comic books, man. Sometimes they're just, that's what it's all about right there. Anyways, go on.
So now, in some advertisement for a new issue of Nightwing, or actually Dick Grayson? No, I think it's Nightwing. Nightwing 66. Sorry about that. They're showing Grayson in uniform as DC's next Talon. And Talon is one of the immortal guardians of the Court of Owls. So he's basically going to be a bad guy now.
Oh, this is the Court of Owls thing. We talked about this.
You're missing out so many spoilers.
I'm trying not to spoil things. I'm like trying to mince my words because I don't want to spoil things for people who don't want to be spoiled and haven't necessarily caught up with stuff. This whole topic is very spoiler heavy, but they have a picture of him in Talon armor.
You should read the issue. You'll understand why he was recruited, how he became recruited, and the whole backstory behind the Court of Owls is also pretty crazy. I highly recommend it, and you are going to have the same reaction Illeagle is having right now with the yeah.
But it's called, okay, the issue is called Nightwing 66. So he's still Nightwing. That's my initial complaint / prediction. Knowing nothing about comics, knowing next to nothing about Dick Grayson, or should I say Rick Grayson, my guess is he's undercover. He's still Nightwing. The bullet in the brain, everything, it's been a big facade. And now he's in the Court of Owls, working from within. Like, destroying from within, I should say. You read it, so you know what the deal is?
I'm not going to say or deny it, but all I'm going to say is you should read it. It's very compelling as to why he had joined the Court of Owls. And there is a main spoiler.
I think you denied it when you said no, but anyways.
There's a main spoiler as to why, and that's why I'm not saying it. But all in all, super controversial because Dick Grayson was arguably the most wholesome of all of the Robins, right? Jason Todd has his demons for obvious reason. Damian Wayne has his demons for obvious reasons. Tim Drake is up there as far as the good guys go, but Dick Grayson was the OG, and for him to turn suit like this, hoo-wee.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are upset. I think how people are going to receive this entire plot line moving forward will depend how long it lasts. I mean, in the world of comic books, things change on a dime. It feels like characters get retconned all the time. Like new villains are always popping up. Old villains return from the dead. Old heroes return from the dead. Like anything can happen in comic books. So we'll see how long this actually lasts. But the other thing, I don't know. I kind of thought that Dick Grayson in the Talon armor looked pretty cool. Maybe that's just me.
Minus the mask. I have an issue with the mask.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just the Court of Owls mask. But I mean, overall, if they can pull this off in a way that's cool, and maybe they'll show the internal struggle of Dick Grayson or Rick Grayson trying to grapple with being this wholesome person and then having to carry out the dastardly deeds of the Court of Owls. I think that could be a really compelling story. And I mean, this is all going to be reset in some way, shape, or form. Dick Grayson was a 007 agent at one point.
So that's why I like Jason Todd so much, right? Because he's a good guy, but he's also got that mercenary skeletons in the closet,
like an anti-hero kind of situation.
And to see Dick Grayson emerge into this role is really exciting for me, actually.
Well, hey man, to use another overused Batman phrase, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested, Nightwing 66, where this is going to start panning out, will be available in late November. And then the full debut of Rick Grayson as Talon will probably come thereafter in Nightwing 67. And I think that is coming out in mid-December of this year.
Is the reason related to his taxi cab job?
No.
You're not going to... Okay, I thought you weren't going to say. Okay. Well, I'm narrowing it down. I'm circling it, but I'll figure it out. We are going to talk about some more comic book stuff, specifically related to the world of film. But before we do that, we do want to take a second here and shout out our Patreon producer, Ben. So Ben, he was on air with us a couple of weeks ago now. After supporting us on Patreon for 3 months at our highest level, highest of the 3 levels, which is the night level. In doing so, Ben gets a shout out every episode. He gets access to our secret segment and our vlog, both of which come out once a month. And he also, gets access, or he gets input into our weekly game, and he also gets a guest spot on the show. So if you want to be like Ben, you can head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/online warriors podcast, I think. Mm-hmm. Hit us up at the night level or one of our 2 lower levels. We have the Squire level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment and the monthly vlog, and also the page level, which gets you access to the secret segment. This month's secret segment, and by this month I mean September's, I don't even know what it is. It's secret even to me. So if you want to get in on the ground floor and know before I do, now's your chance. So
It was the Ultimate Online Warriors tailgating guide.
Oh, you just gave it away. Now no one.
It was already posted on Twitter. It's not a secret.
I need to start reading Twitter more. The Ultimate Online Warriors. I'm gonna listen to that myself. That was a Techtic and Nerdbomber special. But anyways, if you do want to give us some support, head on over to Patreon. We really appreciate it. We love doing this, and we love that other people love us doing this. And any support we get is super useful to help keep this thing going. So we thank you in advance. Now we are also going to turn it over to some of our other podcast friends for some cross promotion.
Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. This is Luke, one of the co-hosts from the Checkpoint Reach podcast, a podcast that was started by me and my fellow gamers and friends, Sudden Perks, where we cover the latest gaming and occasional movie news every week. We also have top 5 gaming lists and have introduced a quiz where it's Sudby Perks, with the forfeit for the loser being chosen by our community. So if you like what you've heard, feel free to check us out on every major podcast platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we're also on YouTube, where you can watch us in the video format if you prefer. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ChetReachPod, where you can join the discussion.
All right, we're back. Thanks for that from our friends. Let's talk about Birds of Prey. So, Birds of Prey, the first trailer for that came out today on the day we're recording this, as far as I'm aware. And for those that don't know, Birds of Prey is it's an all-female anti-hero spin-off of Suicide Squad. Is that a fair assessment? I didn't see Suicide Squad, so
yeah, that's a fair assessment. And
I'm a little disconnected from it. But
so the first thing that I saw when I saw the trailer is Harley Quinn's in it. The second thing I saw, and you're gonna have to be kind of quick-eyed when you watch this, is Black Canary's in it. And if you watch closely, you can see one of the female cast lets out a scream, and you see the water vibrating very far away from her, and that was the tell that Black Canary was in it. From the trailer, though,
she has super singing. Is that the?
She is like Sonic Boom yelling.
Gee whiz! It's a pretty good superpower.
So from that trailer, that was the only two that I was able to gather that was in the film. From there, I had to go to IMDb to find some of the other characters, and one of the other ones that's in there is the Huntress. And if you don't know who the Huntress is, she's kind of like what you would get if you combined Batman and Catwoman, and that is a spin-off of them, is their baby, but all in all, the Huntress is in there, kind of a badass chick, does a lot of the same moves as both of them, and no real superpowers, just kicks ass.
Now, Ewan McGregor, let's talk about Obi-Wan, because when I saw Obi-Wan, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know who he is. Is this a villain that I'm supposed to know who he is? At one point, I was like, oh, it's the Riddler. And then I was like, no. So this is some off the beaten path.
Isn't it
mega
Black
villain?
Mask?
I believe he is Black Mask as the villain.
Black Mask. Okay.
Well, he's a well-known villain.
I was gonna say that's actually a big one. I must have just missed that and all the chaos that this trailer. I mean, this trailer, there's a lot going on in it.
They did not allude in any way that he is Black Mask in the trailer. They basically said it's the Harley show. Like, it was really tough to gather that Black Canary was in it.
There's a really long subtitle. Like the movie itself is called. I'm looking it up right now, but it's like Birds of Prey, or like the story of Harley Quinn. Blah 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 blah. Like it's just, I'm looking it up right now. That's not a good description of what it is.
I mean, I think it's kind of smart though, in a way. So one of the only good things at least to come out of Suicide Squad was everyone loved Harley Quinn, or at least the interpretation of Harley Quinn. And I know that there's a Harley Quinn movie on the horizon as well, but I mean, that's your star, basically. No one else is super familiar with any of the other characters. I mean, unless you dip into like the Arrowverse and you have people who know the Black Canary and the Huntress from the Arrowverse, or they're comic fans. Like, if you're trying to appeal to the general public, you're leaning on Harley Quinn here because she's the most recognizable. And especially after the flop of Suicide Squad, I mean, you need something that will bring people back into the movie theater. And I think Harley Quinn is the way to do it. So even though, I guess, I mean, it's a Birds of Prey movie, but they kind of have to put her in the spotlight. And I will say, as someone who knows a little bit about the Birds of Prey, I mean, Harley Quinn is an integral part of the Birds of Prey.
So it's called Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. That's the full, that's like the subtitle of it. I mean, clearly, like, I think all the Harley Quinn stuff, I think that Harley Quinn is an amazing character, first of all. And I was getting, like, Margot Robbie is so good. And I was getting such flashes of, like, my biggest Harley Quinn exposure is in the Arkham games. And she sounds exactly like the Arkham games, which I thought were very well done. And she's the whole, like, Mr. J thing. And, like, I think exploring that and how she moves on without the Joker is going to be super important, super interesting. I did have one question, and again, I didn't see Suicide Squad, but where is Cara Delevingne? Did she die in Suicide Squad? Potential spoilers.
She is not part of the Birds of Prey, so that's why she's not in the movie.
Okay. So the Birds of Prey it's like the Avengers, essentially. It's like a certain organization that, like, female.
It's basically the same spin-off as what Suicide Squad was. It's a group of misfits getting together to get the job done.
Yeah, they're all kind of in, like, a gray area. I mean, some more than others. Like, the Huntress has been a bad guy in some portions of the comics, and so it's kind of like characters who are trying to redeem themselves, but they're like a quote-unquote girl gang of superheroes or supervillains coming together to try to, like, redeem themselves. I believe, and I don't think she's in this, but I believe Poison Ivy was in the Birds of Prey at one point too in the comics, correct?
I think you're correct with that, yeah.
So, like, it's just kind of, it's almost like the Suicide Squad, but all female.
So anti-heroes is what we're talking about here. Like,
exactly. Like, none of your, like, super top tier superheroes. You're not going to see Wonder Woman in this. It's all, like, your kind of anti-heroes or, like, sidekicks who are going to band together to get the job done.
Which, to me, those are more real characters. Like,
do you guys think they released this trailer at this time to get sales up for Harley Quinn costumes?
No. I think Harley Quinn sales are going to be just fine no matter what, first of all. I mean, I think there's a whole science behind when trailers are released. I don't know. I mean, maybe it does go kind of hand in hand with Halloween, because today it was billed everywhere. It's like, quote unquote, the first day of Halloween, which I think is ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that I didn't see Suicide Squad, so, like, to an extent, I don't know why I would see this one. Am I going to be confused if I did not see Suicide Squad?
I don't think you would.
I decide to see this.
I think they're probably going to take the position that you don't need to see Suicide Squad in order to see, understand, and enjoy this movie. I would say outside of Harley Quinn, I think all of these characters, for the most part, are new in this film. And I don't really think you need to have Harley Quinn's Suicide Squad backstory to really get a good grasp if you have any understanding of the character at all from literally any other context. I think you should be able to come into this one and be fine. And
Which is the right approach. They should not be like, you need to go see Suicide Squad. We know it was bad, but go watch it. Like,
exactly. And especially with them planning to reboot it, I don't see them trying to tie the movies together. I think that Margot Robbie will be the only thing really tying the movies together. And I think even not including the Joker and not having Jared Leto potentially make an appearance, I mean, he might, I don't know, but from the trailer, he's definitely not going to. I mean, he's not in the trailer at all. So I think if they don't bring him in, I think they're going to try to distance themselves from the original Suicide Squad rendition as they can.
But he's not dead.
They broke up, guys. Gosh, move on.
They broke up. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's interesting because you have this Marvel movie machine that prides itself on taking a bunch of characters and putting them together, and pretty much all of there's no anti-heroes really, besides Deadpool, but he's not part of the MCU. Like, you have all these characters who are just white knights, Captain America looking people who are just these
Winter Soldier is an anti-hero.
Meh.
I guess. I mean, But by the end, was he? Because by the end he wasn't. By the end, It's like, oh, I'm Bucky. I'm a nice guy again. Like, I think that's why I liked Winter Soldier the most, is because you had this character that, you know, had this kind of gray area that they were trying to save. Now it's just all guys who are, we're just good guys. We're always going to do the right thing. Like, I think when you blur the lines a little bit, that's when things get a lot more interesting. That's why I think Breaking Bad was a good show. Like, I think there's a lot of examples, and like Deadpool is another perfect example of like anti-heroes are great. And
well, I mean, that's who you relate to the most. That's why, let's be real. We all know I hate Superman and Captain America. They're two goody two-shoes. I know a lot of people, and I have not met someone who's like completely 100%, like never has a bad thought in the world like those two characters seem to.
I want to add Wonder Woman to that list as well.
Wonder Woman gets angry, though. I like Wonder Woman's, like, every now and then she gets a little, like, sassy. But
I suppose. I mean, I will agree that the two that you mentioned are head and shoulders the worst. Like, in terms of relatability.
Yeah,
they are the worst.
When you have characters who are trying to redeem themselves, I feel like we can all relate to that. I mean, obviously we're not all supervillains trying to turn our lives around and become superheroes. But I mean, we all have something that we'd like to redeem ourselves from, whether it's a stupid comment that you made in passing or whatever. So I think characters like this, anti-heroes, people that you can really root for, make better movies, in my opinion.
So what we're saying is that we're bad people. Well, just to clarify.
As kind of a sidebar, have any of you heard about the show The Boys?
Yeah, I've been thinking about trying it out, but I haven't.
I was recommended it for this exact conversation, that they're superheroes that are basically humans, right? They're superheroes with human thoughts, that they are flawed and would take advantage given the opportunity.
Watchmen is also, that's a movie that explores very similar themes, and now there's going to be a television show on HBO about it. So it's not like, it's not like a totally uncommon avenue, but they're just like, they don't seem to be the ones that work like the MCU ones do, and like Wonder Woman, like where there's just these like picture perfect heroes. Those seem to play better, but I'm not sure why that is. And like, I agree with you, Nerdbomber, that I think more often than not, I would say anti-heroes of a certain degree are just easier to relate to because they're much more human.
I'm excited for the movie. I'm looking forward to it coming out. Like, I think we've talked about this ad nauseum, but I'm a little bit tired of the standard MCU movie. Like, I obviously still go see them, but I just like having something different. And I'm just looking forward to different things like this and Joker and
no Joker. Well, not Jared Leto Joker, the right Joker.
Yeah, like the new Joker that's coming out this month.
Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Which still has really good reviews. Birds of Prey comes out February 7th, 2020. So you can go check out the trailer right now. You can go check out the movie in February if you are so inclined. Let's swing it out of Newstown and swing it into Ustown. Let's get some updates. Nerdbomber, what do you have for us today?
So one of the things that I've done over the last week is I've binged the entire 4 Weddings and a Funeral TV show, and it's on Hulu. I think it was written or produced or created by Mindy Kaling, who, if you guys aren't familiar, she is probably one of the most rom-com loving people in Hollywood at the moment. And so I was super excited to watch the show. I thought it would be great. I mean, it had good source material. The movie I liked and enjoyed. I don't really remember the details of it. I just know that I liked it. And I like the Mindy Project. I like everything Mindy Kaling has done, like with The Office and all that kind of stuff. So super excited. And I'll be honest, it was just okay. I had a lot of criticisms of the show, and I think my biggest problem with it is that the characters are just not likable, and they try very hard to make you root for characters in whatever situation that each character is trying to achieve, and I see no reason to root for them because the majority of them are just terrible people. So the premise of the show, and I'll try to do this without giving out too many spoilers, but basically there's like 4 friends who went to college together. 3 of them move to London. 1 is getting married. So then the 4th comes to London and then meets a guy in the airport. And I think she meets him actually before they get married, but whatever. Meets a guy in the airport, kind of has a thing with him, but then finds out that that is her best friend's boyfriend / fiance. They're going to get married.
Right.
So you have this like weird love triangle thing, and then he leaves the best friend at the altar, and then somehow then Maya, the character who met him in the airport, decides to move to London too to escape her ex-boyfriend. And then it's just like their lives. You've got like a bunch of different story beats, like basically the girl trying to get over being left at the altar. You've got Craig, who is probably my favorite character in the entire show. He finds out that he has a secret daughter, and then that causes a rift in his relationship, and then he has to figure out how to navigate that situation. That was probably the one character story arc that I wasn't frustrated by as much. You've got Duffy, who's like a school teacher, who's just super awkward and in love with Maya, and then Maya trying to navigate her feelings for her best friend's ex-fiance. And if it sounds predictable and you think you know where it's going to go, you're probably right. And honestly, they're just terrible people. Most of them are just terrible people.
The way I would describe this show, it's the metaphorical equivalent of watching a horror movie. And it's not in the way that you would think. You know when you were watching like an early 2000s horror movie when you're like, oh, no, don't go upstairs. You're gonna get murdered if you go upstairs.
Right. Don't open that door.
And then they just go upstairs and you're like, oh, come on. It was that situation over and over and over again.
But like they would look at the door or they would look at the stairs and be like, I shouldn't go in there. I shouldn't do this. I'm going to get murdered if I do this. And then they did it anyway.
And then they just do it.
It was very frustrating. We watched the entire thing, obviously binged 10 hours of it in a week. Like, I didn't hate it, but I was just very frustrated. And I didn't really like the characters.
Are there 4 weddings and a funeral, or are they saving some weddings and funerals for future seasons?
It didn't seem like they set it up for future seasons. Like, the entire thing was pretty self-contained. And if they end the show, like, it could serve as a self-contained show, and there were 4 weddings and a funeral.
Okay, so yeah, then maybe that was the intent.
It got a little bit critically panned too, so I don't know if it will come back for a second season. Like, they easily could do a spinoff and just have their lives play out somehow further, but I don't see it going that way because it didn't get received well, and I can see why. It just wasn't that good.
So my dad has... Shout out to my dad, who does not listen, but maybe he will someday. He has like a set of movies, probably like 4 or 5 movies, that it's one of those situations where like if you're ever flipping around on cable, because he still has cable, and you see a certain movie, you stop and you're like, all right, this is my life now. I'm watching this movie just no matter what. 4 Weddings and a Funeral is one of those movies. I've never seen it, but I know he just absolutely loves it. Love Actually is another one of those movies. Notting Hill. The common denominator, if you haven't figured it out already, is Hugh Grant. Loves Hugh Grant. So I don't know. He loves it. I don't know if he's watched the show. Sounds like the show is very dissimilar. I think 4 Weddings and a Funeral is actually a pretty good movie. Isn't the movie like supposed to be like really good? Or is he?
From what I remember, the movie is really good. I can't remember what happened, so I don't know if it's super faithful to the movie. But I also can't imagine that it would be, because how could you turn that movie into 10 hours?
I'm looking up 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Come on, where's the Rotten Tomatoes? I want to see what Rotten Tomatoes score it got. I've heard it's like funny and like, again, this is all funneled through my dad. 96%. So it's like supposed to be amazing, I guess.
Yeah, this was unfortunately not amazing.
So I'll read the critics' consensuses for the show and for the movie in succession. So the movie, while frothy to a fault, 4 Weddings and a Funeral features irresistibly breezy humor and winsome performances from Hugh Grant and Andy McDowell. Now let me read 4 Weddings and a Funeral, the television show, if it would just load. 44% for that show, so... middling to bad. Despite an impressive cast and crew, Four Weddings and a Funeral falls flat, relying too heavily on genre cliches to offer audiences anything more than just another mediocre rom-com. And so that sounds like it's true to your experience.
Sounds about right.
And it's funny. It said cast. I don't recognize a single person here. Am I supposed to?
Maya. I don't remember her name, but she was
Natalie Emanuel.
Yeah, she was in Game of Thrones.
That'd be, yeah.
And then
Craig.
Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, Craig. I don't know what his name is either, the actor, but he was
Brandon Michael Smith. I have it all in front of me. Brandon Michael Smith. He has not been in any good movies. Wow.
He was
his highest rated movie. His highest rated movie has a 42 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I would say he was probably the highlight in terms of acting for me. I mean, I don't know. I thought he brought a lot of comedy to it. He was in You're the Worst, which is probably one of my favorite shows I think that I've watched in the last handful of years.
Yeah, that has a 95. So I guess when Rotten Tomatoes tells you what his highest rated, well, yeah, it's movies. It doesn't include the shows. He's been in a couple of shows that are supposed to be pretty good. But boy, he has not been in any good movies. Anyways, so you guys both watched that, it sounds like, and you would not recommend it, or like
not always
maybe no? Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's not worth it.
Shout out to Four Weddings and a Funeral, not a sponsor. Anything else you want to update us on?
Techtic, you got anything?
Heck yeah. So we have been fighting in Gears now for quite some time, and we reached the Act 2 boss, and that was definitely a PlayStation Assist moment, I will say, even though it's an Xbox exclusive game. So we there's a large matriarch that is constantly running at you. If you get hit by it, you die. Every now and then, first player's vision gets blurred from its scream, and it can't move, so then it'll run at you and die. And it's just this constant running at you and die situation.
And to be clear, it's like a one-hit kill. If the thing hits you, you die.
You die, just like real life.
So literally the next day, we're texting each other back and forth. What if we did this? What if we did that? What if we did this? And Nerdbomber took to the internet and got some helpful tips and tricks, and we went from dying tons and tons of times, going in the grind for literally half hour at a time, just rattling the creature with bullets and having no effect, to beating it in under 5 minutes.
Did you not? Were you not hitting the soft and fleshy parts on this thing?
We were hitting the soft and fleshy parts on the thing. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, the problem was that there were certain tactics that you could employ that we had unlocked that are only actually available if you do side missions in the game. And I don't want to give away the entire tactic in case people do want to take this on blind. But there are tactics to employ that we just didn't. And it makes the fight substantially easier. You do a lot more damage to the beast. It's easier to just slow it down and give you time to shoot at it. And we just weren't doing it.
So this is going to be our Gears helpful hint of the day. We're not going to say why or how or anything else. We're just going to say, when you're in the icy area exploring, make sure to do side quest. You'll thank us later.
So was this final boss or mid-boss situation?
This was the Act 2 boss.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a mid-boss. Although, looking on the internet, if you're not playing co-op, I've heard that this boss battle, especially if you don't have the things that you unlock during the side mission, is probably one of the most unforgiving and grueling boss battles in any game in a very long time.
We're on Act 4 now?
Yeah, we are.
And since Act 2, we've had no issues. We've just been breezing through it.
How many acts are there?
I believe there's either 4 or 5.
There's 4.
Oh,
we're
so
on
you're
the
getting
last
close.
act. Yeah.
So get excited, Gears fans. There's a very hard boss for you to face. Make sure you do those ice levels. You heard it here first. You're welcome, etc. On my end, I have a few recommendations. I have one anti-recommendation, which is the movie Serenity. And I do not mean the old Serenity, which is based on the show Firefly. No, I mean the Serenity that came out this year with Matthew McConaughey. I mean, one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. With that said, very entertaining because of how bad it was. So if you're one of those likes watching bad movies kind of person, you'll love Serenity. It's got
all right.
It has an amazing twist. By amazing, I mean it's super telegraphed, and it also comes like less than halfway through the movie, which makes no sense timing wise. I could talk about it all day. I won't. I did write a review of it though over on my blog, which I will put that up on my Twitter account. So that's one anti-recommendation. An actual recommendation that I have is a show that my girlfriend and I have been kind of binging a little bit lately, called Forged in Fire. Have you guys ever heard of this show?
No, I have not.
I believe it's initially a History Channel show. It certainly seems like a History Channel kind of show. So like Chopped Champions, like the yes. Cooking show, where okay, picture that, but with blacksmithing. And they get 4 guys, and they're like, here's a lump of metal. You got 3 hours to forge a sword. And then you just watch. It's honestly spellbinding. It's so good.
I could see that being addicting. When we go to the fair and things like that, there's a blacksmith, and I just stand there and watch the guy.
It is so entertaining. So what they do is they bring these guys in, and usually the first challenge is okay, go make a knife in your own style. And the guys all make something like their signature essentially. And then if there's elimination points, and then at the end, the last 2 guys standing, they're like, okay, this is a very significant weapon from history, and it's very involved, so we'll give you 5 days to make this one. And so they've done there's this Indian sword that it looks like a frisbee. Those aerobie discs that are hollow frisbees? It's like that, but the whole edge is a blade, so you could just throw it at someone like a frisbee and cut their head off. They made that. They made a Viking battle axe. The first episode was a katana. So they're just super cool, and you occasionally learn stuff, but most of it is watching the guys forge, and then once they forge the stuff to determine whose knife is better, they put it through all these ridiculous tests. They're we're gonna chop this coconut, and if your knife breaks, you suck. And then they just chop a bunch of coconuts, and man, it is so much fun to watch.
So does that make you want to be a blacksmith?
A little bit, yeah. And the same thing kind of happened. So a similar show that I mentioned, definitely at some point on the podcast, is called, oh crap, the glass blowing Blown Away, the glass blowing show on Netflix, which is very similar. It's just people blowing glass and making cool stuff, and you get to learn a little bit about glass blowing and watch them do it. And I was like, I want to do that, when I was watching it, even though I could never do it. This is very similar. I would hurt myself very badly if I ever tried to forge anything. But man, it is fun to watch. It's on Amazon Prime. I think there's many seasons. I don't think we've even made a dent in it. I think it's one of those shows that's been on for a while. Big fan. So that's another thing. The last thing I want to mention, this is kind of like a Techtic dad update. I invested
Excuse me?
You heard me. Yeah, I'm not going to apologize for it. We invested in a security camera. And I shouldn't call it a security camera. It's a dog camera. We have it on our dog when the dog is in the crate and we're gone. And this is one of those instances where I'm just wowed by technology and forgetting that technology is now so good. Shout out to Wyze. Wyze is the brand of camera that I got, not a sponsor. But we got a Wyze camera for I think cost $23. And you set it up, super easy to set up, hooks up to your Wi-Fi, you get an app on your phone, and at any time now I can open up my phone, go to the camera, and just see what the dog is doing. Has motion detection, face detection.
Does this one have a microphone so you can talk to your dog?
Yes, it does. We've tested that functionality as well.
Does he get upset? I'm assuming because he's in a crate, right?
Yeah, so we didn't test it when he was in the crate because we figured that would be, and we didn't test it when he was in the crate and no one was home because we figured that would upset him. Just me talking through some box being hey, hey Cooper, I see you in the, like, I feel like I would just freak him out. We did test it once while I was home and my girlfriend was talking to him, and he basically just seemed like he didn't know what was going on or didn't care. But yeah, it's a nice feature. So shout out to Wyze, W-Y-Z-E. Great indoor dog cameras. So that concludes my life update. My fantasy movie league update is that I forgot again. So not great. I obviously came in last this week because it looks like everyone else remembered. The big news, though, looking at this lineup, Nerdbomber all the way down in 7th. What happened?
I have not been doing well lately. I don't know what's going on. I think I have a good lineup, and then I'm not using my Excel spreadsheet. I will say that. I stopped using that because I just don't have time.
The box office has been a bunch of dud spud potatoes.
That is definitely, looking at this list, I'm like, man, none of these movies. Secret Asian Man is our winner this week at 59 million. Our good friend Ben, second place at 53. Spitfire 32 at 48. Devin Reed at 47. Heckate's Tech at 46. Techtic coming in 6th place, just about 45. Nerdbomber with 44. Hipster Pop Geek with 43, Mecha Yoda with 41, and then I got 26 million just because it automatically fills your lineup for you if you don't. I don't know exactly how it does that, but it puts in just really crappy stuff and then like leaves a bunch of screens empty, so you suck. So anyways, the way the overall is looking as we head into week 8 of the 10-week season, Nerdbomber is still in a comfortable first place, 506 million, Devin Reed at 484, Techtic at 479. I think
third is my place.
Ground. Third's your place. You have a hefty cushion against Mecha Yoda, who's down at 468. Spitfire at 463. Hipster Pop Geek at 454. Our good friend Ben at 421. Heckate's Tech at 411. For 412, sorry. Myself at 408, so I can still catch Heckate's Tech. I plan on doing that. And Secret Asian Man, keeping me relevant in spite of the first place win this week. He's down at 252. So, yeah. Ben has the most wins on the season, by the way. 2 wins. Also, a lot of smatterings of 1 wins. Techtic not having a win yet. Nerdbomber has a win. Mecha Yoda has a win. Spitfire has a win. Heckate's Tech and Secret Asian Man. So, if you want to get in on the fun with us, you can head on over to fantasymovieleague.com, and our league name is Online Warriors Podcast. It's a locked league, but the password is podcast, all lowercase. If you want to kind of just dip your toes in, now would be the time to do that, just because there's 3 weeks left in the season. So assuming you're not going to catch any of us, it's just kind of a way to test things out, see what it's all about. And then as we start season 4, which will be right around Halloween, you can get in on the action full time. So, yeah, come check it out. To close things out for the day, we have another Lie Detector game as administered by Mr. Techtic, as I have taken to calling him.
Okay, so this week's game is going to be, I'm going to list 5 board games. Some of them are real, some of them are fake. And it's up to you two to figure out if I'm making up the board game title or if it is so zany that it is real. So
I've played many board games, so I feel confident. But let's do this.
So this first one is called Arkham Horror. Is it real or is it fake?
That's real.
It's real. I've played it. It's real.
All right, we'll calm down, guys. It was a game made in 1987.
It's real.
All right, I won't. All right,
100% real, Techtic. 100% real.
Also, it's a very good game. It's a co-op game. I've played it. It's very fun. Shout out to Arkham Horror, not a sponsor. So far, so good.
Okay, next one. Hey, Pa, there's a goat on the roof.
This is real.
That's definitely fake. I think I have a little bit of an advantage. We discussed this last week. He's got this giant grin on his face. It's 100% fake. I got this one.
So this is real?
What? Are you kidding?
It was made in 1966.
Hell yeah.
The goal is to get the most cans.
Sure. You guys,
Wait,
you've
this is a
never
board
played
game.
this game? No, this is just a real... Yeah, I think it's probably a board game. I don't think it's a game that you just go out and do.
Is this like, where was this from? Is this like an American game or...
It was released in 1966 worldwide.
Crazy.
Hey, Pa, there's a... Yeah, you Google it. It's right. Hey, Pa, there's a goat on the roof. Boy, it's very
the
colorful.
next one is Silly Willy's Magic Ride.
Okay, that one's fake.
I have to go fake on this one too, I think.
It is indeed fake.
Okay.
Silly Willy did not have a magic ride.
I want to play that game, though. I have a feeling I'm going to want to play all these games, fake or real.
And the next one, Don't Break the Ice.
This is real.
That's real.
I've played this one also.
I've played this one too. This one's fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Django with ice cubes.
It's such a fun game. It's like, I had that was like when I was a kid, I played that game. Yeah, I could play it now too, but yeah. Shout out to Don't Break the Ice.
Okay.
This is the last one.
And the
So
final
you have to
one.
get this wrong, and I have to get this right in order to win.
Oh man, I'm going for the perfect score.
Ride the Van.
This is fake.
I'm going to say it's real, because if I say it's fake and we're both right, then I don't win anyway. So I'm going to go with real.
It is fake.
Yes. Ride the van. I mean, that one, you're not even driving it. You're just riding.
I just
You're not-
realized I had a theme with my fake ones. Both of them were
The rides.
riding.
I like how
it's not as easy as it looks. You guys all made fun of me last week because I had a theme apparently with like it wasn't even Dr. Seuss rhymes. I don't even know.
Hey, Pa, there's a goat on the roof.
That one was good. I would say your real ones, the two of them were pretty easy, but that one that was out of left field. I didn't see that coming.
It's oh man. There's so much to unpack here. I mean, you're not driving the van. You're not riding in the van. You're just riding the van. Like, I don't even know what that means.
Just ride the van, bro.
Just ride.
Do you often ride vans? Like you don't get in them, you just ride
No,
them?
you guys aren't understanding. Just ride the van.
I picture you standing on top of a van like a skateboard and someone else driving it, and you're riding it. It's like riding a wave.
I can also see you do like having a rope in your hand and having like a little lasso thing going on as you're riding the van.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're getting it. Just
100%.
ride the van.
We're just creating a game at this point, and I'm on board with it.
But it's also a sequel to Silly Willy's Magic Ride.
So is Silly Willy in the van?
Silly Willy drives the van, and you ride the van. And that's the magic ride.
Can you tell us any more about Silly Willy, or
does he have like a beard, or is he like a little kid?
He's silly, so
is silly. Have you seen those videos with the guy running for president wears a boot on his head?
Yeah. Vermin.
Yeah.
I can't.
He
think
is Silly Willy, basically. It's the animated version of Vermin.
His name is like Papa Vermin. What's his name? I'm not gonna be able to sleep if I don't figure this out. Politician. Vermin Supreme.
Yes, if you were to animate Vermin Supreme, he is Silly Willy.
Very interesting.
I mean, Vermin Supreme does look pretty silly. Vermin Supreme is an American performance artist and activist. So apparently his election bid was performance art. Which,
I literally
honestly,
don't know anything about this guy. Literally,
you don't know about
nothing
Vermin Supreme?
No.
It's worth a Google.
I may take you up on that later.
He does wear a boot on his head at all times. He has campaigned. This is from Wikipedia now. He has campaigned on a platform of zombie apocalypse awareness and time travel research, and promised a free pony for every American.
Yo, I would like a free pony.
I feel like I wouldn't know what to do with a free pony. You plus have to feed it and pet it and stuff. I would probably turn down the free pony, but I mean it'd be cool for everyone who wanted one to have one. It seems.
It would be like Brie Larson in the unicorn store, I feel like.
Never saw it actually. I wanted to though.
Some people said that it was really good, and I just thought it was kind of weird.
Okay,
But
so you did watch it.
I did watch it. It was okay. Like, it wasn't bad. It was a little too out there for me.
Mm-hmm. It seemed a little out there.
Yeah.
Anyways, next week I will be hosting our Lie Detector game. Topic TBD, to be determined by our Patreon producer Ben. So tune in for that, and tune in for more fun conversations talking about some tech and pop culture news, and just generally having a good time with you listeners. So we do thank you for listening. Oh, before we go too,
don't forget to ride the van.
Don't forget to ride the van, but also we do kind of want to shout out another thing for our patrons and future patrons. We're giving out a 2-week early access window to a special feature featuring our very own Techtic. Am I allowed to say what he does in this special feature? Or is that too?
Oh yeah, this particular special feature, he is unboxing the Unbroken Bonds Elite Trainer Box from the Pokemon Trading Card game, and get some pretty stellar cards.
So if you're a Poke Dude or Poke Dudette, or I don't know, what do you call Pokemon fans? Pokeballs?
Pokemaniacs.
Pokemon Master. God.
If you're a Pokemon Master, you're not going to want to miss this. So hit us up on Patreon. You can check that out. And also, if you feel so inclined, if you like what you listen to, feel free to leave us a review on iTunes or anywhere else that reviews can be left. I don't even know if there are any other places, but we would love to get your feedback, and we would love to get some support. So we thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Adios.
See ya.